TERA is one of many MMOs which came to the United States by way of South Korea. It was developed by Bluehole Studios and released in Korea back in January of 2011, but it didn't get a US launch until May of 2012. This was due in large part to the fact that Bluehole Studios was founded by former employees of NC Soft, and that company pursued legal action in an attempt to prohibit TERA from being released in the US. Despite all that, TERA eventually got its US launch, and received praise for its combat system in particular, which required players to target enemies with a crosshair rather than locking onto them with the tab key. Like so many other games though, TERA lasted less than a year as a subscription-based title. While players found the combat refreshing, it didn't change the fact that this game features a lot of the standard MMO grind elements that get tiresome fast. The game has been free to play since February of 2013, and has been enjoying a relatively large player base since its release on Steam in May of 2015. Let's start by looking at TERA's often praised combat system. There are too many MMOs out there that don't require any kind of skill or strategy in combat. You just use your most powerful skills and hope your enemy's HP gauge goes down faster than yours. TERA isn't like that. The area of effect for your enemy's attacks is clearly defined, and you have plenty of time to dodge or block as long as you aren't using a skill with a long casting time. It's definitely better than average, but it's still not the best combat system I've ever seen in an MMO. I would say that the game's greatest strength isn't its combat, but its visual design. Even in basic equipment, your characters look great, and so do the cities and countrysides that they visit. In fact, if you look up mods for Skyrim, you'll see that some of the most popular mods for that game are ones that add armor from TERA into Skyrim. But unfortunately, this visual design seems like it may have become a double-edged sword. It's common for most MMOs to have classes that are playable only by certain races, and these restrictions are usually pretty light. In TERA, however, they've been going a different direction, and it's one that I haven't seen before. When the game was released on Steam, they released a new class called the Gunner, which is only playable if you're a female High Elf or a female Castanic. There's also a Reaper class which starts at level 50, and it's only available for the all-female Elin race. Finally, they just released a new update which includes the Brawler class, which again is only playable by female characters. The only explanation that I can come up with for this is the developers are so in love with their female character designs that they decided not to bother to make male character designs for the new classes. They didn't bother coming up with any kind of lore or any other kind of justification for why these classes are all female. So I'm forced to conclude that this is a completely arbitrary decision that does nothing but inhibit player choice at character creation. But let's move on to how this game is as a free-to-play gamer. The developers told players when the game went free-to-play that they wouldn't place restrictions on content for free players, and so far they've kept to that promise. All the classes and races are available, as well as the entire map and endgame content. While the cash shop sells special mounts, they aren't much faster than the regular ones, and all characters get a mount for free at level 11. Quests will also give you decent equipment, and you won't be able to find overpowered gear at the cash shop either. Free players also get some premium currency called Federation Bills every time they log in, and these Federation Bills can be used to purchase less powerful versions of cash shop items. Finally, although you're restricted to 2 character slots, you can get around this by choosing a different server, and there are 7 servers to choose from. So in this regard, things seem pretty reasonable. But while it's true that the cash shop sells more cosmetic items than anything else, players who pay a monthly fee for elite status get non-cosmetic benefits. I happened to play TERA on a weekend when they gave everyone 3 free days of elite status to make up for some server problems, so I actually got to experience these benefits firsthand for once. In addition to boosts to both experience points and reputation points, elite players get discounts in the shops and a boost to gold gain. Not that they need it, because the daily boosts that they get sometimes give them items which can be sold at the auction house for a pretty hefty sum. It's incredibly easy to get very rich very fast as an elite player, and that breaks the economy for free players. Add that to the fact that elites level up twice as fast as free players thanks to their experience boost, and you'll start to see a clear power gap emerging between elite and free players. So while TERA is a very pretty MMO, and the restrictions on free players aren't too inconvenient, its free-to-play system definitely has its issues. What's more noticeable and less forgivable, however, is that ultimately the quests and story aren't going to hold your interest. There are no separate storylines based on your character's race or faction, so the plot is the same every time, apart from the Reaper class's side story. This is at best a game that you'll play through once before moving on to something new. That one playthrough can be an enjoyable experience, but the combat and visual design alone probably isn't going to be enough to keep you hooked.